Okay, here we go. Can you see me? There, that's a little bit better. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I started to work on this book in 2011, and I actually did it. I was kind of taking a break. It was in the middle of a lot of client work, a lot of coaching executives, and some common themes started to converge. And the things I was really noticing was how so many of us who are driven to succeed are driven to do so according to an idea of what we think is necessary to be safe in life, right? To be successful, to be included, to somehow identify with whatever tribe or subculture we have told ourselves is where we want to be. And part of what I noticed is as I was working with a lot of people across a lot of walks of life who had really done amazing things, was that fairly universally, if I walked into a room of 20 people, 100 people, 3 people, and I asked people for a show of hands of who could think of 20 things that pissed them off that day, a couple would raise their hands, right? Maybe I asked them 10, right? Maybe if I asked them 5, they could all pretty much keep their hands up, and the hands would continue to go up. But if I asked them that same question about how many people could think of that many things that had delighted them, how many things had deeply fulfilled them, had really validated their sense of being alive on the planet, there wouldn't be as many hands up. And it became kind of a parlor trick for me in public speaking engagements, because I really wanted us all to begin to think about how is it that we can be on this planet and have a gift of life and have the cognitive abilities we do, have amassed the talents and skills that we have, and how come so little of our waking time and efforts is truly allocated towards feeling that ability to fulfill ourselves, right? To fulfill our sense of being fully alive. And the more I scratched my head and thought about that, the more I thought, wow, there are really some constants here around that question. And the constant I was seeing was simply that because of how we process what goes on around us, and because we prioritize both our extrinsic experience, and believe it or not, we prioritize our discontent as a function of our nervous system, it's got a ripple out effect that a lot of times it doesn't matter how many boxes we've checked or how much we've accomplished. There's this incessant hunger for more. And at some point I started to realize, even in myself, that the trick is how do we repurpose that drive? Not to walk away from it all, but maybe some people will walk away from it all, but to somehow learn to walk whatever path we're walking in a way that feels more true to us, that feels more truly fulfilling. And the irony that this book is coming out right now, right? COVID, the whole world's talking about game changing and pivoting and what's the new normal, etc. It is a complete coincidence. In fact, the day I found out the book was coming out, I posted it on Facebook, and one of my connections there, because COVID had just started to rage. I think it was in March. I found out the book was coming out in August, and I was so excited because having spent all these years writing it and rewriting it and working with editors and book designers and all that, it was kind of like, wow, it's actually going to take shape. But this person was offended that in the middle of COVID that this would be happening. And I think that's really a great prompt for pause for all of us, is in the middle of the world being turned upside down, right? In the middle of there really not being such thing as normal. How do we begin to adjust our own normal, our own actions, our own outcomes? How do we use this moment of complete shift and schism, of rewiring of all the global nervous systems, whether we're talking about economy, politics, we're talking about support systems, infrastructure, how we learn, how we love, how we express affection? How do we use this moment of total snafu to start to incorporate ways of being and actions that allow us to be more aligned with who we truly are? Because as I look around, and as we all kind of contemplate the long present fault lines, and not just a lot of our assumptions, but really the foundations of our society, of our planet, of our social systems, there's been a lot of misalignment for a long time. And I think it's really easy for us to look around us and say, well, our leaders should have, our leaders should have. But you guys know, everyone on this call is absolutely a leader. Everyone who took out 5 minutes, because this isn't going to be a full hour. We'd all get too bored. Who wants that, right, on a Monday night? But when you think about it and you ask yourself, what is it that I can begin to do right now to listen to that voice inside of me that will guide me through this uncertainty in such a way that along the way, I begin to reclaim and realign with pieces of myself that I may have shoved aside my entire life. And that, my friend, is what Game Change is all about. So I'm really thrilled to have you here. I'm gonna probably share just a little bit, and you can probably hear, I promised some people crickets, because I am in the middle of Woodstock, New York, and that's pretty much the only thing that's around me currently. We don't have crickets, we have a torrential downpour. I don't know if you can actually see. Yeah, a torrential downpour, so we may lose power. Part of the adventure of being alive. But I want to share just a little bit from the book. So the book's built on 10 questions because it's never about the answers. It's never about the top 10 tips that you see in some kind of a self-help article or advice. In fact, I think in a lot of ways, the more we listen to other people's advice, the more we muddy our connection to our own truth. And so I built the book around 10 questions. And the questions are designed to help us get to what is radically true of us. By radical, I don't mean extreme, right? We hear that especially in a modern day context, and we think to ourselves, oh, that means extremist. No. The root of the word radical is radio, which is roots. It's roots. What is fundamentally rooted in who you are. This is the you before you took on all the trappings of whatever birth situation you came into, parental situation, demographic situation, socioeconomic situation. This is just the qualities that really most profoundly define you. And so this process is really 10 questions to help you poke and prod, because that usness, right, that essence that is fundamental to who we are is not only our key to happiness and fulfillment, it is not only completely in alignment with our thriving, it's also the part of ourselves that we have least been taught how to listen to. So I'm gonna give you a little bit. Chapter 1, am I living or just existing? Now the idea here is, am I just getting up and making the donuts? And the donuts could be being the CPA at a Fortune 500. The donuts could be running a nonprofit. At some point, we forget all the freedom that we have in life. So Dare to ask and answer honestly. If you've done pretty well in life already, then clearly you know how to seek fulfillment, at least by some counts. This might mean that you've collected the right combination of V's, S's, P's, or even C's after your name on your business card. It might mean that you've created the configuration of family you want. Maybe you're living in a home that you truly aspire to own. You travel according to your sense of curiosity or reward. It likely also means that you command a degree of responsibility that's not only the evidence that you've got those skills, but that you've also earned the respect of others, even with all you have and have accomplished. Are you living in alignment with your very best? Are you optimal in all you do? Are you truly thriving and fulfilled? To what level are you personally engaged, right? We're all talking about engagement all the time. How engaged are you? Because that Well, that was exciting. I don't know if anyone's still left on the stream. Anyway, I'm super excited to share this book with you, specifically because I think that now is a great time for all of us to ask ourselves some really powerful questions about, like, if everything's up in the air, then what do I want to build now? And I think this can pertain to what kind of impact do I want to have personally? What kind of impact do I want to have on the world? What kind of impact do I want to have in my relationships? And I think it can be a huge time of opportunity for all of us to say, it's not only that there were some fault lines in the infrastructures in the world, but really, probably for each of us, there have been some fault lines that were present. And the way in which we experience those is usually some kind of discomfort, some kind of discontent. And this is just such a huge opportunity to say, you know what, that didn't work. So what am I going to do now that will? And this book, I promise you, will help you to move along towards that. So a lot of people help me get this together over the years. I want to acknowledge my team, Bren and Marjorie and Andy Seach and Caroline Andrews and Claudia Kirievsky and Emily Lyons and Heather Kokovinsky, just so many amazing people. Dan Guerra, just amazing people have been a part of the team that has allowed us to have this kind of impact and do this kind of work with folks who have a heavy lift every day. We all go to work and try our best, and the fact that we lose pieces of ourselves along the way is part of the challenge and part of the call to action. But part of what I know is that by virtue of being in a work community that makes room for this kind of conversation, allows us to not only live it, but it also allows us to share it. So I'm super grateful to my team. I'm super grateful to Molly Schachter, who has always helped me see the best side of myself. And I'm super grateful to all of you guys, because if you cared enough to show up, and I know a lot of people cared enough, and I just had other plans and I popped in on everyone last minute. But the folks I extended this to personally, we don't always know what an impact we have. And I know that happens a lot. If you're walking down the street and someone can really profoundly, positively or negatively impact in one of those kind of random moments where you just happen to experience each other's vibe and energy. If we know that that can happen just walking down the street, then we really need to take stock of how much we as a life community or work community, a social community, are really the energetic lifeblood of each other and how important that we is. And so I'm actually drinking kombucha because I went dry in July and I've been feeling so good. I just didn't want to, I didn't want to give it up. So I'm having a little glass of kombucha, and if it weren't pouring, I'd probably have you out in the garden. But I just wanted to thank each and every one of you. I hope that you've gotten the book. I would love your comments on it. In fact, I have great news. We have sold out on both Amazon and on BarnesandNoble.com. Not to worry, they will have more copies in a week, I've been told. But that's a really nice sign. Oh, look, and my puppy's here. She wants to come up and be a part of this. But so that's super, super exciting. The other thing I wanted to tell you is we're going to be doing a couple things. For one thing, I've been doing Game Changer chats, and in alignment with the book, because I know that we can look at a movie or a life story of someone amazing and famous who like it's, kind of shined on them and put into a screenplay. And we go, wow, look what they overcame to become who they are, etc. And I was really curious about who are those people around us every day, all the time. Who are those people that if we just got stuck on an elevator with them for a couple hours, or had a long walk, or a moment over a drink at a bar, right? What would we learn about each other that would really move and inspire us to reach into our own ability to be great unto ourselves, to be really radically true to ourselves? And so I cast a net amongst our own community, and I started having those conversations. So you'll find a record of them on our website. It's balanceintegration.com. And we have people from every walk of life, just talking about how they got the gumption to really align with what the voices inside of them are telling them is right for them. So those are there. They're free. I am going to continue them, so you can check our events page or pop me an email and let me know that you want to be on a list to be notified. I promise I am like so lame at self-promoting that I promise you I don't have the energy to spam. Like it doesn't cross my mind, which I know is probably making a couple people laugh out loud. So I'm happy to keep you apprised of that. I'm also going to be doing a mastermind to walk folks through the book, and knowing that they're out of stock already. We're going to start on September 1st. It's a Tuesday. It's going to be every Tuesday at noon. And it's 10 chapters. So for 10 chapters, we're going to walk through each week. And if you would like to be a part of that, I'm going to charge money, honestly, not even for the money, but to help you show up. Because I know that when we pay for something, it helps us go, damn it, I got to go to this thing. I paid for it. And so I want that for you, because I know that this is a really powerful process, and that whoever shows up for it is going to be exactly the kind of person you want to surround yourself with. It will be small, because I want everyone to have time to see and be seen and hear and be heard. So that will start on September 1st. And you can find out more about that on our website. If you go in to balanceintegration.com, there's a link that says Game Change Mastermind, or I think Intensive is what we call that. And last but not least, if you want to get coached on this experience and process, if you're a high performer and you're just ready to blow something up, call me, because I'll help you blow it up in a good way. So little glass of kombucha, and a big heart full of gratitude to all of you, and more than anything, a big vote of confidence in each of us, because that seed of greatness, it isn't just in some people. It's not. It's really in all of us. And the question that the world is begging us to ask is, what are we going to do to unearth it? What are we going to do to be true to it? So I am voting for you. I'm voting for me. I'm voting for all of us, because I know that there's so much that we have to offer and to give. So chin chin, and thanks for showing up. If you have any comments, I would love to see them. It looks like, yeah, when I lost power and lost cable, I think I lost everything, but in terms of the chat feed. But I do just want to thank you for being here. And with that, I'm going to bid you adieu and have a great night. Be good to yourself.